We won't mention
All right. We're not going to mention it. No, we're not
No,
going to
we'll talk
mention it at
about
all. No. There's no mention that Rick hit the wrong button on his
buttons. There's no buttons at all. I don't know what you're talking about.
14th show. No, as he was trying to screen share completely inappropriately. So back to where I was heading. Juju 2.2.
You had something really cool you about to show us, Rick.
I did. I do. You know what? Kapow. Here we have the GUI running on that Oracle model that I was just showing off. But this is what I wanted to show off. And let me see if I can. So the big work in Juju 2.2, the stuff the team and I'm most proud of is that performance, scalability, all that has been just ratcheted up. The team has put a ton of work into optimizing memory usage. I showed a while ago, and I'll link to it, a blog post on how to track your controllers and monitor them with a Grafana setup just like this. This is actually using the same exact dashboard I had in the blog post from before to track, to optimize the logging. Compressed logs are now in there by default. The logs are configurable and cappable so that you can manage your disk space usage. CPU load's been heavily optimized, like just across the board, everywhere you can look. The team's worked hard on making things more performant. And as you can imagine, we're running Jazz, which is hosted Juju for users. And so you hosted Jazz users, get ready, because 2.2, you'll see it probably before everybody else does as we update the infrastructure on jujucharms.com as soon as that goes out. That's part of that service. But we're obviously heavily invested in making this stuff scale up better. And I don't know if you can see this very well or not, but this is from a test from yesterday that I was watching the team go through and perform. And they're tracking 1,400 machines in over 140 models, basically 10 machines, 10 units per model at the thousands level. And here you can see, I mean, these are on kind of, they're on beefier machines. So here you can see the controller where I was setting up my Prometheus Grafana to monitor it. And if you look at the machine here, these are C4 large, extra larges that we're running these on.
Machines, yeah.
These are big machines, right? No doubt. But 30 gigs of RAM isn't exactly insane. Like my desktop's got 32. If I'm going to run my production stuff and HA at scale, I don't know that 32 gigs of RAM is anything insane. And you can see that, running at 1,400 models, what I love is you can see I've got this ramp up here as I ramp up the number of models of machines. And notice that things like memory and such don't ramp up with it, right? Like we've got pretty good scale going across, tracking it at these levels.
What is that unit of measurement, a bill? A billion?
So I think it's billion bytes. If you look, it's actually like running at around 12 gigs of RAM is around where this starts to peak out at.
Okay, I was like,
I know. I know. This is called Rick needs to spend more time with Grafana lessons to set to divide it down into something more reasonable. But what I can tell you is, out of the reporting here is basically 8, 10, 12 gigs of RAM. This is a HA 3-node controller set up and running. And what's fun is we ramp up to around 12 models a second, or a minute. Sorry, 12 models a minute ramping up here from a single machine making requests. So it's basically adding 120 units per minute, cranking up, just deploy, and then bang on it. And this is the kind of work the team's doing to help make sure that Juju 2.2 is scalable, tested, is just beat on, and something that we can rely on. So here you can see, load, obviously, varying around as things are going through. Now, I will say,
but still, that's fine. I mean, that's 16 cores, so a load of 12 is still decent, actually. You still have unused cores. You don't have a wait, basically, a wait queue.
Yeah. So I just kind of wanted to show and highlight, and then here, this is just kind of fun, right? Run Juju models, and so you can see I was playing in the controller one down here at the bottom, but basically this is just scripted, try to destroy the controller, and we could not do it. It's holding up really awesome. So I'm very proud of the work going on there. Those graphs were not always as flat as they are now, and it's really impressive to see the hard work the team's put into that.
I mean, I can especially attest to that. I've got a 2.0 embarrassingly, a 2.0 beta 18 controller running somewhere right now. And I checked my dashboard in my cloud provider, and I was like, why is this at 100% CPU? It's not doing anything. And so it's been, I'm really impressed with, from even 2.0 to 2.1, and now looking at this stuff for 2.2, I'm really pumped to redeploy these on new controllers and start leveraging all those new features as well as those performance improvements.
Yeah. One other one I wanted to highlight. So there's obviously a bunch of little things in here, a little usability, a ton of bug fixes. But this is a bug I filed, so I care a lot about this one. And so I'm very happy to see this. And let's see, I think I need this. I'm going to risk screen sharing again for the sake that I don't kill the stream. Why would anyone do that? So I'm going to switch, let's see. Controllers, I want to switch over to my mass testing where I was at, because I was doing something. Juju switch mass testing, and on here I'm playing with some big data stuff or whatnot. This has got Spark and things in it, but what I was doing was, so I can run an action. I'm going to run Spark Pi, right? I'm going to trigger and say, you know what, Spark, go generate some Pi for me. Have fun with it, and it's going to queue an action. Now, actions are asynchronous, and you can have many of them, and they take different time to run. You know, if you run a backup and then you want to run, give me some other information, it will take a while for that backup file to generate and get done and all this. Totally understand. There's these little UUIDs that are the reference to the action. But I was so annoyed because I don't want to copy and paste UUIDs just to see if it's done or whatnot. And so now there's a new flag on show action status, which is a name flag. So now I can actually just enter the name of the action I ran and say, you know what, give me the status for any of these actions that are named this. And so if you're doing an action over and over or whatnot, or you've triggered a bunch of things and you just want to know, is that one, how's it doing? Is it done yet or whatnot? Having this kind of filtering and usability into actions is a little bit nicer. I think that there's some other improvements around the kind of action usability that's in 2.2. So check it out. If you're a heavy user of actions, which if you're doing, you know, full Juju operations, I don't see how you can't be. It's some good updates in there for you. So with that, I've heard various, I mean, the team's looking to go 2.2 and go GA with it within the next week. So before our next Juju show, I fully expect it to be released. So keep an eye out. Get your model upgrades tested and working. I will say that RC, you can upgrade in place, you know, from an RC to GA. That's fine and all supported. I highly recommend folks check out the documentation for model migrations. That idea where you have it running and you bring up a new controller and you can migrate the models from one controller to the other. Remember, this is just the state database, just the Juju info migrates from one controller to another, model by model, so you can do it at scheduled times for that workload. And that's like our rock solid way of doing those upgrades. If anything goes wrong, it falls out nicely and keeps everything running back where it was. And so model migrations has been even more polished in 2.2. And so that's really the best way, if you can manage to have that hardware on hand to do that managed migration, the best way to upgrade. And actually, now that I say that out loud, I should really do a blog post on that. With 2.2 coming, it would be a good time to talk about model migrations and production upgrades. That's the last I got, man.
Cool.
Yeah, Marco.
Exciting stuff.
It is. It is. There's some good stuff coming. So with that, I leave everyone on part 2, and I'll stitch it together, and hopefully we'll have one seamless part of the Juju Show, episode 14. Thanks for coming by, everybody.